Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we tackle some really specific source material and try to transform it into something thorough, thoughtful, and hopefully, yeah, deeply relaxing for you.
We love digging into the structure hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. And today, wow, we have a wonderfully specific task. We're diving deep into a full economic analysis of the capital Wasteland, from Fallout 3.
It sounds niche, but it's actually perfect for this kind of exploration. It forces us to apply real-world economic ideas, scarcity, trust, logistics, all that, to this, well, completely fictional setting.
Right. Our mission today is really to treat this game world's economy almost like a historical case study. It's something listeners ask for, that thorough, kind of contemplative pace.
Yeah, taking it seriously, but, in our style.
Absolutely. So forget the super mutants and the laser rifles for a bit. We're looking at the balance sheets of the apocalypse. The rules, the structures where things surprisingly work, economically speaking, and where they just collapse. And we're structuring this around the kind of questions that pop up in the fan communities, the people who really live and breathe this stuff. It gives us a nice path to follow.
The big challenge, I think, is figuring out how things like trust and, actual organized systems get rebuilt when everything's gone from scratch.
It's more than just bottle caps are money. Why are they money? How does that work?
Exactly. The whole thing is this giant thought experiment, really. Post-apocalypse economics.
Okay, let's start right there. The absolute basics. Survival.
Yeah.
So civilization just evaporates, banks, global supply chains, Amazon Prime, gone. What happens economically, like immediately?
Well, it's an instant and really jarring shift. Everything complex just vanishes.
Right.
The economy snaps back from, specialization in global networks to something based purely on immediate local life or death needs. Nobody's thinking long-term investments.
It's all about the next meal, the next bandage, the next bullet.
Precisely. You're not worried about the S&P 500. You're worried about getting enough ammo to stop raiders from stealing your last can of cram.
So trade becomes, well, incredibly risky and urgent. Barter, basically.
Pure barter, driven entirely by who's nearby. Is it safe to even talk to them, and what do you desperately need right now? Food for ammo, water for medicine, that kind of thing.
And that urgency must create wild price swings, right?
Oh, absolutely. Massive volatility. Imagine one day a settlement has plenty of food, maybe scavenged a pre-war warehouse, the barter value of food plummets.
Okay.
But then a group of mirrorlarks attacks the next day. Suddenly, 5 bullets or a single stimpak. The value goes through the roof. It's survival advantage dictating price, hour by hour.
Not supply and demand in the way we think about it, more like threat and demand.
Exactly. It's an economy run on battlefield conditions, not, GDP figures.
Which is precisely why you need something stable, a common currency. And that brings us, of course, to the bottle cap, the famous bottle cap standard.
Ah, yes, the caps.
Let's really dig into this. The bottle cap economy. Scarcity, trust, and control. Why these things? They're just bits of metal, not valuable like gold. Can't eat them.
The origin story is fascinating, economically. The sources suggest their initial value wasn't intrinsic. It was tied to the scarcity of the pre-war product Coca-Cola, ubiquitous before the war. But the caps themselves became these little non-reproducible artifacts of the before times.
So nostalgia first, like collecting baseball cards.
Kind of, yeah. A tangible link to the lost world.
Yeah.
But that sentimentality had to morph into something much stronger. Widespread, functional trust for them to actually work as money.
That's the key jump, isn't it? From collectible to currency. Because trust, in economics, it's like the ultimate infrastructure. Everyone has to believe, deep down, that the next person they meet will also take this cap for goods or services.
And that trust doesn't just magically appear, it gets enforced. This is where the big players come in, like the caravan merchants, the traders running routes between major hubs like Megaton, Rivet City.
They become the stabilizers.
You could almost say they're the de facto central bank, yeah.
Yeah.
They manage the liquidity, they set the baseline exchange rates, maybe not intentionally like the Fed, but effectively.
Hold on, though. If the caps aren't inherently valuable, and we know counterfeiting is a thing in the Fallout universe, someone could just stamp out fake caps. Why doesn't it all fall apart? What gives these caravans so much power?
That's a really good question. It comes down to their control over the network. They enforce the standard through essentially access. They control the main arteries for distributing high-value goods.
So if a settlement decides, nah, we're only trading in scrap metal now, the caravans just cut them off.
Pretty much. They could just bypass that settlement. No more shipments of advanced medical supplies, no rare ammo types, maybe even no purified water. if the caravan controls the source.
Wow, okay. So they starve out competing currencies, economically speaking.
Exactly. By controlling access to essential high-demand goods, they basically force everyone else onto the cap standard to participate in the wider economy. They maintain a relatively unified exchange rate across huge, dangerous territories. It's fragile, sure, but it beats pure barter.
And that sets the stage for when the official system can't deliver, the gaps, which leads to the shadow economies.
Right. Fallout 3's black markets. What you're not supposed to find. These markets pop up wherever the legit caravan economy fails or refuses to tread.
What kind of stuff are we talking about here? What defines a black market good in the Wasteland?
Think high risk, high reward. Things that are too dangerous to transport openly, too powerful maybe for general circulation, or just ethically dubious.
Like drugs, chems.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Specialized chems, jet, psycho, mentats that give you a massive edge in combat or conversation, but they're addictive, unsustainable. Also pre-war tech that's maybe restricted, like certain weapon schematics or advanced energy weapon parts.
And information too, right? Like where's an untouched military bunker?
Oh, information is huge. The location of a hidden stash, patrol routes for a rival faction, weaknesses in a settlement's defenses, that kind of intel is incredibly valuable and traded in the shadows.
So the black market is really a reflection of the things the main economy can't or won't provide. The quick fixes, the forbidden power, the secrets everyone's desperate for.
It fills the gaps left by the struggle for basic survival. The regular economy is focused on food, water, basic repairs. It doesn't have the capacity for, say, risky chem synthesis or recovering experimental tech. The black market addresses those unmet, often dangerous desires.
Does it still use caps? Or does it revert back to something else?
It's mixed. Caps might be accepted for smaller things, but for really high-value, high-risk deals. Often, it shifts back to universally useful hard commodities. Things like rare ammo types, maybe high-proof alcohol, fusion cores, things that have inherent value and can't be easily faked. Reduces the risk.
Okay, let's shift from the idea of currency caps and otherwise to the absolute bedrock resource, water. We need to talk about the true value of water in Fallout 3.
Water is, well, it's unique. It's obviously essential for survival. You have to drink it. But clean water, purified water, it's more than that. It's a fundamental unit of economic power.
Because radiation is everywhere. So clean water isn't just hydration, it's health, it's life extension.
Exactly. The difference between sipping from a dirty puddle and having a canteen of aqua pura is immense. Its value is absolute. It doesn't rely on social trust like caps do. Everyone needs it, period.
And the sources really emphasize that controlling the clean water supply means controlling, well, everything.
It's economic dominance, pure and simple. If you control the water, you dictate who can live where, which settlements thrive, which routes are safe enough to travel because people can resupply. You control population centers.
Which makes those big infrastructure projects like Project Purity in the main quest.
They're not just humanitarian missions. They are the ultimate tools of economic control. Whichever faction secures and operates Project Purity holds a monopoly on the single most critical resource for rebuilding civilization in the entire capital wasteland.
They control the tap, literally and figuratively.
They control the economic geography. They decide who gets the lifeblood of the economy.
That kind of fundamental scarcity makes every single trip out into the ruins a constant economic calculation. Which brings us neatly to the scavenger mindset.
Yes. Scavenger logic. How Fallout 3 teaches resource prioritization. This is microeconomics under extreme pressure.
Every time you, the player, or any NPC scavenger goes out, they're running this constant, complex optimization problem in their head.
What do I pick up? What do I leave behind? It all comes down to carrying capacity, your weight limit, versus the potential value of the item. Marginal utility, basically.
And it's not just about the cap value.
Not at all. That's the crucial insight. You might find, say, a heavy wrench worth maybe 5 caps, but right next to it is a tiny roll of duct tape, also worth 5 caps. Which do you take?
The duct tape, probably, because you can use it to fix things.
Exactly. The duct tape or the wonder glue or the scrap metal, these components have enormous utility value because they feed into the repair and crafting system. Keeping your rifle working with scrap parts is vastly cheaper than having to buy a new one.
So the scavenger learns to prioritize low-weight, high-utility junk over heavy, low-utility items, even if the immediate sale price is similar.
Right. That seemingly useless junk. The tin cans, the sensor modules, the fission batteries, that is the foundation of the Wasteland's entire maintenance and repair economy. It's the industrial base, such as it is.
But those scavengers roaming around, the caravans moving between settlements, They can only function because of a whole layer of work that often goes unnoticed, the invisible labor.
Yes, this is critical. Fallout 3's invisible labor. Who keeps the Wasteland running?
Yeah.
This is all the essential work that doesn't necessarily generate a lot of caps directly, but without it, the whole system grinds to a halt.
Like what? Guard duty.
Guard duty is a perfect example. Standing on a wall in Megaton all day. Also, the rudimentary farming happening inside settlements. Trying to grow mutated corn in irradiated soil. Cleaning up rubble. Maintaining basic pathways between locations. Even just basic sanitation to prevent disease.
It's like the public works department of the apocalypse, but run by volunteers or poorly paid settlers.
Pretty much. These tasks don't make individuals rich in caps, but they generate communal value. Security, stability, a baseline level of function.
That stability is what allows the traders to trade and the scavengers to scavenge with slightly less risk.
Precisely. Without guards, caravans get ambushed constantly. Without farmers, settlements starve or have to resort to raiding themselves. This invisible labor keeps the fragile ecosystem just functional enough. Its cost is sort of socialized. Paid for in slightly safer routes, slightly more reliable trade. It's the unglamorous bedrock.
And that provides a stark contrast to the other side of the coin, the parasitic economy. Let's do a supply chain analysis of the raiders, how raiders sustain themselves.
Raiders are fascinating from an economic perspective because they are pure consumers. They don't produce anything of lasting value. Their entire model is based on taking what others have produced.
Extraction, not creation.
Exactly. Their income, their supplies, food, chems, ammo, weapons, it all comes from looting settlements, ambushing travelers, scavenging already cleared areas, and basically consuming the productive output of others.
So they're a net drain on the wasteland economy.
Absolutely. They force every productive settlement and caravan to divert precious resources, caps, materials, personnel towards defense, building walls, hiring guards, buying more ammo just in case. This adds friction, slows down any potential recovery or growth. It raises a really interesting economic question. Could a raider group ever just settle down, become peaceful farmers?
Doesn't seem likely, does it?
Economically, it's almost impossible for them. Their entire structure, their skill set, their supply chain requires constant conflict. They need that external injection of wealth from raiding. If the raiding stops, their resources dwindle rapidly. They consume faster than they could ever learn to produce, given their starting point.
So they need victims to survive.
They rely on continuous external pressure. A truly safe, stable capital wasteland would actually cause the raider economy to collapse from within. They'd run out of targets. They'd starve economically. They are, in a grim way, a market force that profits from instability and weakness.
Okay, that contrast between the productive, even if struggling, economies and the parasitic ones leads us nicely into comparing specific places. Let's look at a tale of two cities, or settlements rather, starting with the unlikely survivor. Why Megaton survives. A forensic breakdown.
Megaton. It looks like a chaotic mess, built literally from scrap airplanes around a live atomic bomb. But economically, it's surprisingly robust.
Why? What makes it work where other places might fail?
Location is key. For one, it's situated at a natural crossroads, making it easily accessible for those crucial caravans we talked about. That means access to goods, caps, information.
Okay, good location. What else?
It has a degree of vertical integration, locally. The population isn't just consuming, they're actively involved in the core economy, scavenging the ruins right outside the walls, processing scrap metal. You've got essential service providers right there, like Moira Brown, facilitating repairs, crafting, trade.
So it's relatively self-sufficient in the basics.
Reasonably so, yeah. And then there's the bomb. It sounds crazy, but that massive shared existential threat, it kind of forces a degree of cooperation and focus. Everyone has a vested interest in keeping the town, quite literally, from blowing up.
Stability through shared terror. Weird.
It's a messy, low-overhead, highly pragmatic model. It proves that economic resilience in this world can come from sheer necessity and a bit of Mad Max engineering, not just top-down planning.
All right, now let's pivot to the complete opposite aesthetic. The luxury high-rise. Why Tenpenny Tower is a symbol of economic collapse. Looks fancy, but you're saying it's doomed.
Absolutely. It's the definition of an unsustainable economic bubble. It looks prosperous on the surface, clean, secure, wealthy residents, but its foundations are incredibly fragile.
How so?
It relies almost entirely on isolation and exploitation. The wealthy residents consume pre-war luxury and resources in the building itself, stored goods, but they produce virtually nothing for the wider wasteland economy.
Still living off the past.
Essentially, yes. And maintaining that isolation is incredibly expensive. Their security costs must be astronomical, hiring mercenaries, maintaining defenses, managing supply lines for luxury goods that have to come from outside.
And they depend on external labor too, right? The whole ghoul situation in the basement.
Exactly. That's the fatal flaw exposed. They rely on this underclass, the ghouls for essential maintenance and labor, people they despise and underpay. When that exploited labor source rebels or is removed, the tower's fundamental dependency is laid bare.
It can't function without the people it excludes.
Precisely. Tenpenny Tower is a model built on extreme wealth disparity, outsourced risk, and consumption without production. It's completely detached from the economic realities of the Wasteland. It's destined for collapse, probably a violent one.
This idea of flawed design brings us to the vaults, the ultimate planned environments. Let's discuss vaults as economic experiments. What went wrong?
The vaults. Designed on paper to be these perfect, self-contained arcs to ride out the apocalypse, often with hidden social experiments baked in.
Right. But economically, why did so many fail from within, even without monsters breaking in?
A lot of it comes down to a lack of resilience due to over-specialization. They were often economic monocultures.
Meaning?
Imagine a vault designed just for, say, musicians or only athletes. They might have excelled in their specific area, but lacked the diversity of skills needed for long-term survival when things inevitably started breaking down.
Yeah.
Who fixes the water purifier if everyone's a concert violinist?
They didn't have a diversified workforce, essentially.
Exactly. And they were incredibly rigid. Real economies need to adapt to unexpected shocks, resource shortages, internal conflicts. The vaults were built on these supposedly perfect, static plans. They couldn't handle unforeseen problems, equipment failing faster than expected, social unrest, resource hoarding, the sheer psychological pressure.
The plan was too brittle, it couldn't bend.
Right. They assumed perfection and predictability in a situation that was anything but. That rigidity, that inability to adapt, was often their economic undoing.
Okay, let's bring it back to the individual level now. Beyond caps and barter, there's reputation. The moral market. Let's explore the hidden cost of survival. Fallout 3's moral economy.
This is about karma, essentially. Does being good actually pay off in the Wasteland, economically speaking?
Your first instinct might be no, right? Being ruthless, robbing a trader, selling someone to slavery seems like it offers quick, easy profits. Get the caps now.
Short-term gains, absolutely. Very tempting. But if you think about karma as like a Wasteland credit score, a measure of your trustworthiness, then the long-term economic benefits of being good start to become clear.
How so? Good reputation means?
It means lower friction in transactions. If people know you as reliable, as someone who keeps their word, they're more likely to trade with you, maybe give you better prices, trust you with more valuable jobs or information. Trust reduces risk, and reduced risk is economically valuable.
So high karma opens doors, access to safer settlements, maybe reliable allies.
Exactly. High trust networks. Settlements that won't deal with known scumbags. Companions who won't stab you in the back for your gear. Consistent, lower risk contracts. It's the economics of karma. Why good isn't always profitable today, but it might be why you're still alive and trading next month.
In a world with no real legal system, where contracts are enforced by whoever has the bigger gun, reputation becomes almost the only guarantee of future behavior.
Precisely. Bad karmic characters might get rich quick, but they live in a world of constant paranoia. Higher security costs, fewer allies, always looking over their shoulder. That eats into profits and stability over time. Good karma is a long-term investment in social capital.
We've covered caps, water, scrap, reputation, but let's push this a bit further. What's the real ultimate commodity in this economy? We have a thought. The Wasteland's most valuable commodity isn't what you think.
Yeah, it's probably not the stuff you can easily hold. Not caps, not water, maybe not even ammo in the grand scheme of things.
So what is it then?
The sources suggest it's more abstract things, like reliable information, or organized structure, or, crucially, technological superiority. It's the capacity to generate future wealth, not just the wealth itself.
Okay, explain that. Information.
Finding pre-war schematics for something vital. A water purifier design, an advanced weapon mod, a power generator blueprint. That knowledge is priceless because it lets you create value, not just scavenge finite resources. It shifts you from consumer to producer.
And organized structure.
A well-coordinated group, even a small one, has a huge economic advantage over scattered individuals or settlements. They can pool resources, organize labor efficiently, defend themselves effectively, undertake larger projects. The ability to coordinate is wealth.
Which sounds a lot like The Brotherhood of Steel.
Prime example, let's take a look at how the Brotherhood of Steel funds its operations. They're not setting up market stalls.
Right, so where does their economic power come from?
It's not market-based trade in the traditional sense. Their economy is built on controlling knowledge, specifically pre-war technology, and maintaining a monopoly on it. They practice what you might call extreme vertical integration.
Vertical integration, meaning they control the whole process.
Exactly. Take power armor. They don't just find it or buy it. They possess the knowledge to build it, maintain it, repair it, manufacture the fusion cores that power it, and train the specialists needed to operate it. They control the entire supply chain, from raw materials and blueprints to the finished, functioning soldier.
So they don't need to buy power armor parts on the open market using caps.
Precisely. They're self-sufficient in their core technology. This technological monopoly is their currency. They can then leverage that superiority, offering protection, technical assistance, to trade for things they don't produce themselves, like food, water, raw materials.
The power armor is like collateralized economic power.
That's a great way to put it. Their budget comes from hoarding and leveraging knowledge and assets that nobody else can replicate. They're a centralized, knowledge-based economy operating within the broader, messier wasteland economy.
Interesting. Now, let's think about how the player interacts with all this fragility, specifically through a game mechanic like fast travel. What's the true cost of fast travel in Fallout 3?
Fast travel. Economically speaking, it's like magic. It completely erases the single biggest factor in the wasteland economy: friction.
Friction meaning the cost and danger of getting from A to B.
Exactly. The time it takes, the resources you consume, food, water, ammo, the risk of ambush, the wear and tear on gear, all of that is the friction that makes goods more expensive the further they are from their source. It dictates trade routes, settlement locations, everything.
And fast travel just poof. None of that matters for the player.
Right. You skip hours, potentially days, of what would be a perilous journey for any NPC. A journey requiring planning, supplies, risk assessment.
So what's the cost then, if it's so convenient?
The hidden economic cost is opportunity cost. Specifically, the lost opportunity to scavenge. Every meter you walk in the wasteland is a chance to find valuable scrap, useful chems, maybe encounter a wandering trader, or stumble upon a hidden cache.
By fast traveling, you're bypassing the fundamental economic activity of 99% of the wasteland's population, that constant grind for resources.
Yeah. It detaches the player experience somewhat from the underlying economic reality the NPCs live in. If players had to pay the real cost of travel and time, resources, risk towns, their economic strategies would have to be completely different, much more focused on local scavenging and careful planning.
Okay, stepping back again. Can we connect this fictional economy to the real world, Fallout 3's economy, compared to real post-war systems? Are there parallels?
Oh, definitely. You see echoes in historical situations of complete societal breakdown and infrastructure collapse. Think about places like post-WWII Germany, for instance.
Where the official currency became almost worthless.
Exactly. The Reichsmark was distrusted, subject to inflation. So people immediately reverted to barter, but not just random barter. They use hard, universally desired commodities as currency.
Like what?
Cigarettes were famously used.
Yeah.
Alcohol, coffee, fuel, things that had inherent utility or desirability that couldn't be easily inflated away by a government printing press.
And in the wasteland, that role is filled by
Purified water, ammunition, certain high-demand chems or medical supplies like stimpaks. When trust in the official currency that caps waivers, people demand payment in things they know they can use, regardless of what happens to the cap economy. It's a hedge against systemic failure.
Which leads to a fascinating hypothetical. What if Fallout 3 had inflation? What if, say, the Enclave managed to set up a bottle cap printing press and just flooded the market with billions of perfect, undetectable caps?
Chaos. Absolute chaos. The entire fragile system built on scarcity and caravan control would shatter almost overnight.
It's not just prices going up.
No, inflation at that scale is about a complete collapse of faith in the currency itself. If caps suddenly become easy to get, worthless, nobody would accept them anymore.
So everyone reverts back to those hard commodities.
Instantly. The value of ammo, water, fusion cores, stimpaks would skyrocket hyperinflation for goods, deflation for caps. Trade would fragment back into localized, high-friction barter systems. All the stability the caravans provided would just evaporate. It would be economic Armageddon on top of the nuclear one.
Wow. Okay, final point. Thinking about the factions, the narratives, Fallout 3's lore as economic propaganda, how does economic power shape the story we're told?
This is really interesting. You have to ask, Whose version of events, whose story of survival and success are we actually seeing most clearly?
The winners write the history books kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah. The dominant factions, the ones with the most resources and control, like the Brotherhood of Steel, or potentially the Enclave if they were more successful, they inevitably use their economic leverage to shape the narrative.
How does the Brotherhood do it, for example?
When they take control of Project Purity, they don't just control the water, they control the story about the water. They frame themselves as saviors, generously providing this life-giving resource. It masks the fact that they now hold immense economic power over every settlement that relies on that water.
Their control of technology becomes a justification for their rule. We have the power armor and the know-how, therefore we should lead.
Exactly. Their technological monopoly and organized structure are presented as necessary for the greater good. It's economic power reinforcing a specific narrative of legitimacy and control. The lore itself can function as a way to justify the existing economic hierarchy.
Well, that was quite the journey. A really deep, and I hope, a relaxing look into the economy of the capital wasteland. We went way beyond just caps or money.
Definitely. We dug into the absolute necessity of water, the hidden value of scrap and invisible labor, the contrast between a place like Megaton that just works somehow, and a place like Tenpenny Tower that's built to fail.
We talked about trust as currency, the power of controlling technology like the Brotherhood does, and even how something like fast travel changes the economic equation for the player.
And how reputation, that karma system, functions as a kind of long-term economic investment in a low-trust world.
So, as you reflect on all this, the systems, the failures, the surprising successes, we want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, something building on this analysis. Consider Fallout 3's survival myths. What would actually work?
If the world really did end tomorrow, based on what we've discussed, what would be the truly smart economic play? Would you scramble for the wasteland equivalent of cash the caps? Or would your priority be securing the fundamentals? Things like a reliable source of clean water, yes, but maybe even more importantly, building localized trust networks and acquiring crucial non-replicable knowledge or skills. What's the real key to long-term economic viability in that world?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.